You're so
Watch
stupid.
the
That is
games.
the dumbest thing I've ever read.
Do you even
Ignorant.
play the
Arrogant.
game?
You're probably
yeah,
I've done the
really
research.
classy.
Where's
I
yours?
better make more
Stay
than you.
classy,
You know
bud.
that an
Idiot.
NHL GM
Hockey
doesn't have a
isn't
job.
baseball.
When did anyone
I've
ever
been
say
doing
that?
this
For
for
20
years.
years.
Alright. Everyone, shut up for a sec. Hi. It's August, and that's usually a very dead time for hockey news. Is that the case in 2014? No! This August has been jam-packed with NHL news, mostly in the front office. Bloggers be getting paid, son! The Devils got an analytics guy, so did the Oilers, the Leafs got a team of them, and there's even a mystery team! Because as we all know, mystery Corsi is the most dangerous kind of Corsi. It's a very exciting time, a lot of change, a new era, not just in the NHL, but in the sport. And this should be a time where hockey Twitter is a very fun place. And it's just not right now. Believe me, I like me some Twitter wars. There's something about when you see that first tweet and you're like, and popcorn. That's what popcorn looks like. But a lot of the fights you see between so-called bloggers and so-called mainstream, it's kind of like the movie The Hangover. I liked the first Hangover, but I didn't really like the second one, despite the fact that it was the exact same movie because it was the exact same movie. So just some thoughts and perspectives on the so-called mainstream versus blogger war. Bit of a lack of perspective, bit of a lack of understanding, bit of a lack of self-awareness on both sides. And again, I'm not saying you can't disagree, I'm not saying you can't fight, but it's the same stuff over and over. First, I want to look at the blogger perspective. And before we even start, let me admit that the criticisms I'm going to give the bloggers and the mainstream, I'm guilty of sometimes. I'm not perfect, I have my faults. Example, yesterday I got a haircut. This is far too short for how thick my eyebrows are, and I didn't get any sun before shooting this video, so now it looks stupid. That's just one of my faults, but I don't want this video to be too long. Back to the bloggers. So, what are the bloggers? What is the hockey blogosphere? Well, for the most part, it's young. Mostly, it's guys in their 20s. Actually, I shouldn't even say guys in their 20s. There's a lot of female writers. There are certainly some older ones, and some of the ones that started when they were young are now older because, you know, that's how time works. Typically a very tech-savvy or at least internet-savvy group. Hard to properly share your opinion and research on the internet when you do not know how to properly use the internet. Who are these people? Well, they come from all walks of life and all professions. Some want a career in hockey writing or hockey coverage or any kind of sports coverage. Others are pretty happy to just do it for fun, for a hobby. For some, it's even their profession. Currently, I belong to that group. This is what I do for a living, son. A huge problem that bloggers run into, and this isn't a shot at the mainstream at all, is you need to rely on the merit of your work to get recognized. For most, you don't belong to a big newspaper, you don't belong to a big TV station, you don't belong to a big radio station. No one is just going to be flicking through the channels on their TV, radio dial, flipping through the newspaper, and just stumble upon your stuff, regardless of how good or bad it is. For the most part, you put something up there, and if it's any good, people will see it, people will share it, and it might not be right away, but over time, people will notice your stuff, respect your stuff, and read your stuff regularly. Or watch or listen or whatever. So for some, not all, but some, I think there is a hint of frustration and a tiny hint of jealousy at the mainstream media. They work so hard on their creation, they put so much time, so much effort into it, and maybe a couple hundred people see it, maybe only a couple dozen, and then they read something in a newspaper that a bajillion people read, and they're like, this sucks! Why do people listen to this person and not to me? Then it turns into that paper stupid, or that radio station stupid, or that TV channel stupid. So that to me is misused energy, but I think that's just a few of them. Another is when people in the mainstream actually tell these bloggers that they suck, or that they're dumb, or that their opinion's stupid, or blah. Many use appeal to authority. Well, I have this GM's number, and I spoke to this player and this coach, and shut up! And some taunt the blogosphere, and that doesn't always go over very well. Nerd, stat geek. Why don't you watch the games? Watch the games. Are you seeing some of the stuff that these guys are doing? People go, Corsi. Even some of the newer research, like zone entries, zone exits, these people are not only watching the game once, they're watching it 2, 3, 4 times over. Instead of one side asking, do you even watch the games? Maybe the other side should ask, do you even watch the games more than once? Then there's the, oh, you're just some unemployed basement blogger. And many are like, hey, stupid, I have a full-time job. And this is my hobby, and I still do a better job at it than you do. And even if it is someone writing from their mom's basement, what, does that make them less right? What dictates how good their content is? Where it was created, or the quality of the content itself? To me, the blogger versus mainstream debate is kind of a microcosm of a younger generation versus an older generation debate. And it's not really a new one. This has kind of been going on forever. When you're a kid, you're like, boy, I can't wait till I'm a grown-up and people will actually listen to me. And then you're a grown-up and you look at the kids and go, what do these stupid kids know? You know, I worked so hard on this stuff and you're going to dismiss it because of who I am and not what it is? And if it's something that's new, oh, you're a newcomer with a new thing trying to teach the cream of the crop that your new thing is worth listening to. A lot of people aren't going to like this statement, but take the biggest guys at TSN, the biggest guys at Sportsnet, the biggest guys at any newspaper, radio station, or TV channel. they worked their ass off to get there. And many of them probably think that they're some of the best at what they do, and rightfully so. I've been doing this for years and years, decades and decades, and I've been promoted a bunch of times, and now I'm at the top. I must be really good at this. And then all of a sudden you got some guy with a website going, no you're not. That to some is a little annoying. And I can't say I really blame some of the mainstream guys for that. If someone randomly came up to me and was like, you suck at making Leafs YouTube videos and I can make them better, I'd be like, screw you, no you can't. But if instead someone said, hey, I know you've been doing this for a long time, I'm actually kind of new to this, but I think I have some ideas that might help you, and you know, I just want to bounce them off you, I would be a little more receptive. Which brings me to what a lot of people say, the blogosphere is far too sensitive. Let me go ahead and nip that in the bud right away. What is the blogosphere made up of? Bloggers. What are bloggers? People. What are mainstream reporters, hosts, analysts? People. You know who can be overly sensitive sometimes? People. I reject the idea that one group is more sensitive than the other. However, I won't ignore the fact that maybe some bloggers are sometimes sensitive or maybe have a hair trigger temper, so let me address that. How can I be vague about this? You know what? The name's not even important. I have a friend who would write beautiful, well thought out analytical pieces about a hockey team. 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 words long. Beautifully researched and beautifully constructed graphs and charts, game footage, game stills, hours and hours toiling over an opinion, thinking really in depth about it, seeing what other people are saying about it, and after hours and hours of this work, the first comment on their work is, nerd! That's a bit of a downer. And sometimes it'll be the same people, over and over and over again, saying the same thing, over and over and over again. And over time, like waves against the shore, that can wear you down. Over time, everyone who is critical becomes that person in their head. My favorite one is, well, you can't judge hockey based on numbers alone. Literally, and I'm trying to cut back on the use of that word, but literally nobody has ever said that. And if you say that someone said that, and you seriously say watch the games with the assumption that the people writing about it did not watch the game, you're an asshole. See what I mean? See what I mean? Sometimes you get a little flustered. So there's a couple issues here. Clearly, on both sides, there is frustration. Justifiable frustration. So maybe you raise the question of who started it? And I think the simple answer to that question is, even if you found out, it doesn't really matter. And what are we, 5? Stop being so immature and ignore all the toys on my shelf. So I see two ways of looking at this now. One, both sides put aside their petty differences, forget what was said about them in the past, or at very least tuck it in their back pocket, and let's go about creating the best stuff we can possibly create. Or the second option, which is screw it. This is sports, and sports are entertainment. The more fights, the better. Burn, baby, burn. And whether you subscribe to the first option or the second option, you're probably right. So, did this video solve anything? I don't think so. But that was not its intention. All I wanted to do was maybe start a discussion, bring some awareness to the different perspectives. If we can't establish mutual respect, let's at least establish mutual understanding. Because hey, I fly off the handle all the time. And in doing that, sometimes I make mistakes of my own. I'm young, and that doesn't excuse anything, but just trust me when I say I'm growing and I'm working on it. And you can do that if you're older too. And I've worked in the mainstream before. I've worked at Leafs TV, NHL Network, CBC Sports. I can't say it's in any capacity worth bragging about, but I've been there. And currently I'm living my dream of blogging, podcasting, and video blogging about hockey for a living. So if I can create a bridge between the two sides, I'd love to. In the meantime, news is nice, but holy crap do we need the games to start.